is this, that it has layers of truth. And what I mean by that is that it speaks, I believe, to the present situation as that prophecy is announced. It also is speaking to a future time that may or may not be off in the distance. It is speaking to a future time that is off in the distance, and it speaks to all of eternity. And it speaks a truth that is real for every single strata of those ages. That is the power of this kind of prophecy. So Jesus, he says to them, he says, watch out that no one deceives you. He says, here's the signs. Okay, you want the signs? Here's the signs. Make sure nobody deceives you, because many are going to come in my name, claiming that I am he, and they will deceive many. Has that happened? Oh yeah. I'm going to list a few. Simon Magus, the mid-first century, claimed he was the Christ and led many. Anne Lee, who was a leader of the Shakers, proclaimed that she embodied the perfections of God in the feminine form. Bernard Mueller, in the 1700s, claimed to be the Lion of Judah and a prophet like no other. Arnold Potter, schismatic leader of the Latter-day Saints, called himself the Potter Christ. Father Divine George Baker, an African-American spiritual leader, claimed to be God himself. Now, these are not just, crazy people who are saying these things. These are people who have a following, a large following of people coming and belonging to their teachings. You will recognize this one, Sun Myung Moon, the founder of the Unification Church. He claimed to be the second coming of the Christ. Jung Min Seok claimed to be the second coming of Christ. He founded the Providence Church in 1945. This one you've heard of as well. David Koresh, leader of the Branch Davidians down in Waco, Texas, just not that long ago, had a strong following who believed that he was the Christ. And here's my favorite, Charles Manson, the Manson clan. He claimed to be Christ, and he also claimed to be Satan at the same time. And people followed him. So this has been going on for a long time. These people proclaiming that they are Christ and people being less misled and following them. Do you think it's going to happen on into the future? Absolutely. I'm convinced that there will be false teachers coming and proclaiming themselves as Christ. Jesus says another sign is this. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, don't be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Millions of people have died in wars since the time of Jesus Christ. We mentioned in Jerusalem, just 40 years later, we had 60,000 to 1 million people die when the Romans took over Jerusalem. We have estimates of 50 to 70 million people died, soldiers died in World War II alone. And then we got the World Trade Centers, where 2,996 people met their death at the hands of a terrorist act. And currently, right now in the world, there's major conflicts in India, Afghanistan, in Somalia, in Iraq, in Pakistan, Mexico, the Sudan, and this has resulted in the deaths of millions and millions of people. Jesus says there's more. There are earthquakes, and these earthquakes will happen in various places. Likewise, millions of people have died in earthquakes since the time of Jesus. There have been over 320 major earthquakes around the globe just in the last century. And I checked this. This is cool. The United States Geological Service has a website that you can get on, and you can find geological earthquake activity in the United States and around the world. It'll tell you what's happened in the last hour, what's happened today, what's happened yesterday, what's happened in the last 7 days. I was going to count them up, but they're too numerous to even count them up and tell you. Are there earthquakes? Yes. Famines. Again, millions have died because of famines since the time of Jesus. So, what do we do with all this information? Some would say, well, clearly, Jesus didn't know what he was talking about. Clearly, Jesus is misreading the signs. And they pronounce that loudly and say, look, you Christians, you're crazy because the end hasn't come. Or Jesus is telling us the truth. When I was in seminary, one of the things I remembered, I don't remember a lot from seminary, but I remember this, was a professor who talked about the concept of realized eschatology. Eschatology is the study of the end times, which reminds me of a joke. I can't remember if I told you it or not because I'm getting old, so I'll tell it to you again. A seminary student on his test had the question, what is eschatology? And he wrote down, I don't have a clue, but that's not the end of the world. Yeah, pastor jokes, they're pretty sad. So, realized eschatology, what is this? Realized eschatology is that the end has begun and the end is in our midst, but it has not been realized to this point. In other words, we are in the midst of the end times and we are seeing the signs, but the end has not yet come. It's like the woman who is pregnant and giving birth to the child and is in the midst of labor, but that child is not born yet, but the birth process is going on. Now, Jesus proclaimed this 2,000 years ago, and my question is, what does 2,000 years compare with all of eternity? It is a blip on the screen. St. Paul believed with every fiber of his being that he was living in the end times. And you know what? I think St. Paul was right. Martin Luther believed that he was living in the midst of the end times. And you know what? I think he was right. Kip Tyler believes that we are living in the end times. And you know what? I believe with every fiber of my being that I am right. So what does this mean? Well, Jesus goes on and he says, nobody knows. Nobody knows about that day or that hour, nor the angels in heaven, nor the Son, meaning himself, but only the Father. Be on guard. Be alert, because you don't know when that time is going to come.